Welcome to Queen Deluxe. Let's do some vintage sewing. Today on Queen Deluxe, we're gonna make this 1950s dress out of some fun yellow fabric that reminds me of corn. I thought it would be a fun Thanksgiving dress. Here in the States, we celebrate Thanksgiving at the end of the month, and I thought it would be fun to have something new to wear. So, and I got this fabric at a garage sale down the street from us for $1, and there was more than 8 yards on the roll. So, score. So I'm gonna walk you through the process. I have to do some alterations to the pattern and some stuff. So let's get to work. I'm using this advanced pattern, which is made for a teenager, so there's some alterations that need to be made. It has a little inside facing thing that comes down really low and is going to interfere with my bust line. So we're gonna nix that. It's also very small. It's a 32 and I am at least a 36, especially right now during COVID. So I'm just gonna be using a block that I have that I made during quarantine from a 1950s book that I will link down below. I got it off of Etsy for about, I think it was $8, but don't quote me on that. And so I will link that if you're interested in the block directions and everything. It seems to be pretty true. I didn't end up doing any alterations to it, so that was pretty awesome. So what I'm doing, I collapse the dart and move that space up to the neckline since that's where the gathers are. And then it is not quite gathered enough. I'm gonna add some more. So I have drawn some lines on where I'm gonna slash and spread. So that's what I'm cutting those lines right now. And then we will be adding a bunch of tape to this to add that extra fullness up at the neckline. So that is what I'm going to do next. I end up putting about an inch in between for the space that I am slashing. So there's that. And I'm not measuring anything. I am just going for it and we're gonna see how it goes. I have plenty of fabric, and since it was so cheap and I have so much of it, I am deciding not to do a mock-up and I'm just gonna see how it goes. So this is what it looks like, all taped and slashed and spread. I am a little concerned about the arm's eye being a little low, but we'll find out, and I can always raise that without too much trouble. If you guys would like a tutorial video on how to slash and spread, please let me know in the comments. Now that I have the bodice pattern all upsized and figured out, we're gonna start cutting out. I have this lovely corn type fabric from my garage sale. I throw it in the washer and make sure that it's pre-shrunk, and then we'll start cutting out. It is a full circle skirt with gathers, so the skirt is very full, very large. You'll see it on the sewing machine in a bit. It is so big, which I love. It makes for a swirly twirly skirt, and those are the best. It is so big I had to add little extensions on the sides. Here I am cutting out the bodice with my new pattern. The neckline has a bias detail, so I am cutting some 2-inch bias strips for that, and I think I'm gonna put them on the sleeve as well. Now that I have all my pieces cut out, I start stitching together. So I put on my little skirt extensions and press those. Because this is a nice quilting cotton, it's going to hold up really well. So I decide that I'm going to probably end up throwing this in the washing machine as a wash and wear type dress. So I am serging all the edges. Let's get down to stitching. All right, so I'm gonna put all of the skirt seams together and leave the center back opening, which is what I'm doing right here, for a center back zip. It keeps growing and growing. Look at the size of this skirt. It's huge. Off camera, I put the bodice together and throw some gathering stitches into the neckline so that we can control where those are going to be going. I also put a control tape in the waist. Because this is on the bias a little bit, I didn't want it to stretch out. There's so many gathers, there's not a lot holding that waistline together. So I'm going to sew that right down the center of that teeny weeny twill tape, and it's going to control all these gathers around the neckline just where I want them. Trim right next to the twill tape at a scant 1/4 inch, and now I am applying the bias tape that I cut earlier. I sew from the back and then press and top stitch on the very edge to control what the outside looks like. Now that the bodice is basically complete, I'm going to finally stitch the waist line of the dress together, so skirt and bodice together. Here she is all together and all done. So I added a bias strip to the sleeves and did a little pleat to kind of bring it up a bit and added some bows. And I also added a bias strip to the waist to kind of define that. And I can always wear a belt over it if I decide to do that. Thanks for sewing with me this time. I had fun. I hope you did too. If you did, go ahead and hit all the links and the likes and the bells and the things and the whistles and whatever. And I'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving!